Angkor Wat, in its beauty and state of preservation, is unrivaled. Its mightiness and magnificence bespeak a pomp and a luxury surpassing that of a pharaoh or Shah Jahan, an impressiveness greater than that of the pyramids, an artistic distinctiveness as far as that of the Taj. Angkor Wat is located about 6 kilometers north of Siem Reap, south of Angkor Wat. Entry and exit to the Angkor Wat can only be accessed from its west gate. Angkor Wat was built in the first half of the 12th century. Estimated construction time of the temple is 30 years by King Surya Varman II, dedicated to Vishnu, Hindu replica of Angkor Thom style of art. Angkor Wat, the largest monument of the Angkor group and the best preserved, is an architectural masterpiece. Its perfection in composition, balance, proportion, reliefs and sculpture make it one of the finest monuments in this world. What is the Khmer name for temple, which was probably added to Angkor when it became a Theravada Buddhist monument, most likely in the 16th century. After 1432, when the capital moved to Phnom Penh, Angkor Wat was carved by the Buddhist monks. It is generally accepted that Angkor Wat was a funerary temple for King Surya Varman II and oriented to the west to conform to the symbolism between the Saturn, Sun and Death. The bas-reliefs, designed for viewing from left to right in the order of Hindu funeral rituals, support this function. The plan of Angkor Wat is difficult to grasp when walking through the monument because of the vastness. Its complexity and beauty both attract and distract one's attention. From a distance, Angkor Wat appears to be a colossal mass of stone on one level with a long causeway leading to the center, but close up, it is a series of elevated towers, covered galleries, chambers, porches, and courtyards on different levels linked by stairways. The height of Angkor Wat from the ground to the top of the central tower is greater than it might appear, 213 meters, achieved with 3 rectangular or square levels. Each one is progressively smaller and higher than the one below, starting from the outer limits of the temple. Covered galleries with the columns define the boundaries of the first and the second levels. The third level supports 5 towers, 4 in the corners and 1 in the middle, and this is the most prominent architectural feature of Angkor Wat. This arrangement is sometimes called a quincunx. Graduated stairs, one rising above the other, give the towers a conical shape, and near the top, rows of the lobsters sculpted to the pole. The overall rope imitates a lotus bud. Several architectural lines stand out in the profile of the monument. The eye is drawn left and right to the horizontal aspect of the levels and upward to the soaring height of the towers. The ingenious plan of Angkor Wat only shows a view of all 5 towers from certain angles. They are not visible, for example, from the entrance. Many of the structures and courtyards are in the shape of cross. Visitors should study the plan on become familiar with this dominant layout. A curved sloping roof of galleries, chambers, and aisles in the hallmark of the Angkor Wat. From the distance, it looks like a series of long, narrow ridges, but looks up from identity itself. It is a roof made of gracefully arched stone rectangles placed into in. Each row of tiles is capped with an in tie at right angles the ridge of the roof. The scheme culminates in decorated tin balloons with elaborate frames that provide access to the various levels. Highland Churchill Candy, who visited Angkor in the 1920s, thought their usefulness surpassed their architectural purpose. The steps to Angkor Wat are made to force a hard because built-in obstruction that might be prepared for the atmosphere of sanctity. She wrote, in order to become familiar with the composition of the Angkor Wat, the visitor should learn to recognize the repetitive elements in the architecture. Galleries with columns, towers, curved roofs, tympaniums, steps, the cross-shaped plan occur again and again. It was by combining to a more aspect as a sense of height was achieved. This arrangement was used to link one part of the monument to other. Roofs were frequently layered to add height, length, or dimension. A smaller replica of the central towers was repeated at the limits of two prominent areas, the galleries at the entry pavilion. Long causeway at the entrance reappears on the other side of the entry pavilion. Angkor Wat is a miniature replica of the universe in stone and represents an early model of the cosmic world. The central tower rises from the center of the monument, symbolizing the mythical mountain Meru, situated at the center of the universe. Its first tower corresponds to the peak of the Meru. The outer wall corresponds to the mountains at the edge of the world, and the surrounding moat the ocean beyond. Even though Angkor Wat is the most photographed Khmer monument, nothing approaches the actual experience of seeing this temple when Vincent grasped this sensation over 100 years ago. The general appearance of the wonder of the temple is beautiful and romantic, as well as impressive and grand. It must be seen to understood and appreciated. One can never look upon the ensemble of the Wat without a thrill, a pulse, a feeling of being caught up onto the heavens. Perhaps it is the most impressive sight in the world of a device. Angkor Wat occupies a rectangular area of about 208 hectares, divided by a lateral wall. The first evidence of the site is a moat with a long sandstone causeway, length 250 meters, wide 12 meters, crossing it and serving as a main entrance to the monument. The moat is 200 meters wide with a perimeter of 5.5 kilometers. The west entrance began with a step leading to the raised sandstone terrace in the shape of the cross at the foot of the long causeway. Giant stone lions on each side of the terrace guard the monument. Looking straight ahead, one can see at the end of the causeway the entry gate with the three towers of 5 in height and with collapsed upper portion. The central tower hides the full view of the 5 towers of the central group. A long covered failure with the square columns and the curved roofs are stand along the moat to the left and the right of the entry tower. This is the majestic facade of the Angkor Wat and a fine example of classical Khmer architecture. Highland Churchill's Candy must have been standing on the terrace almost 70 years ago, when she wrote any architecture would thrill at the harmony of the facade and broken thread of repeated pillars leading from the far angles of the structure to the central opening, with each dominated by 3 imposing towers with the broken subpeaks. This facade original had another row of the pillars with the roof. Evidence of this remains in a series of brown horns set in the square base in front of the